cheap. Nice to speak with all of you. So we'll take one verse from Bhagavata for discussion. Before that we do a little bit of kirtan. Okay? So all of you go to the Atlanta temple regularly? Every Sunday? All glory Shri Samudra. All glory to Samudra. All glory to Samudra. Shri Guru Shri Guru.
His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So once again, we'd like to welcome all of you to the program this evening. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 How many of you chant 16 rounds a day? How many of you chant between more than 8 or more rounds and less than 16? And how many of you chant 4 to 8 rounds? And how many of you chant 1 to 4 rounds? And how many of you don't chant a beat, but just with your lips chant Hare Krishna whenever you're in a good mood? And how many of you don't chant at all? I was just trying to understand who my audience is before speaking. The doctor has to know the patient. So I was just trying to know who the patients are before speaking. Om Gyanandasya Gyanandana Shalakaya Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So one thing all of you know is that the Krishna conscious movement is presenting the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And Bhagavad Gita contains the essence of devotional service. The conclusion of both these scriptures is that one should engage in Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the science of devotional service. And the conclusion of both these great scriptures is the Lord can be captured or attracted only by the means of bhakti yoga. One may be a rich man, a famous man, a very well-educated man, but that doesn't mean you can understand the Lord. But if on the other hand, one engages in devotional service, then one can understand the Lord and feel the Lord. Is that your swimming pool? That's your neighbors?
No, it's the children from here playing outside.
Okay. So, Bhakti Yoga in essence is a process by which you engage the body, mind and senses in service of the Lord. So there's a very nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that explains how we can perfect our lives, how we can achieve the goal of life. Of course, in the Bhagavatam there are 18,000 verses. How many?
18,000.
Divided into 12 cantos that highlight the importance of devotional service. So we have just selected one of them, and this is text 14 from the second chapter of the first canto. You can try repeating the Sanskrit after me. Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavya Cha Dheya Puja Cha Nityada. Has anyone heard about this sloka before? Only one? Two? That's all? 3, 4? Okay, you can try repeating the same thing again. Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deya Pujasya Nityada Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Pujasya Nityada Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deya Pujasya Nityada. Anyone has this verse memorized? Okay. Yes.
Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deya Pujasya Nityada. Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deya Pujasya Nityada.
Anybody else?
Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deya Pujasya Nityada.
Anybody else? Krishna?
Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtidavyaścha Deha Pujasya Nityada
The whole family learns the slokas together. All of you, sir. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotee. You want to repeat after me the translation? Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotee. So this verse has been spoken by Sutta Goswami. How many of you are familiar with the Srimad Bhagavatam? So the Srimad Bhagavatam is also called the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And it was spoken by Vyasadeva. Does anyone know who Vyasadeva is? You don't know? How many of you do not know who Vyasadeva is? So, Vyasadeva is the incarnation of Godhead who gave us the vast Vedic literature. And the Vedic literature, Veda means knowledge. And the Vedic literature points out what is our relationship with the Supreme Lord, what we should do, what we should not do. So, Vyasadeva was inspired by his spiritual master Narada Muni to present the path of pure devotional service. Therefore this is called the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And it is also said that this mango is so sweet, and because it is coming to us through the medium of disciplic succession, it is coming as it is. Suppose you have a big tree, mango tree, and somebody throws a fruit from the top. Then by the time the fruit hits the earth, it will be broken into pieces, isn't it? But if it passed down to different individuals sitting in different branches, then will it be broken into pieces?
No.
It will come intact, isn't it? So we are very fortunate to receive this knowledge through our disciplic succession, parampara. In spiritual life, there is parampara that we follow. Even the mafia has parampara, you know. In Italy, the Sicily mafia has very strict parampara. But that is for a bad cause. This is parampara for a genuine cause, for the cause of serving the Lord. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam we see that 5,000 years ago there was a king called King Parikshit. Parikshit means inquirer. This King Parikshit was a very pious king. In the Vedic days, the rulers were all God conscious, and the rulers were ruled in a manner in which all the citizens were protected and fully happy. Like even today, people talk about Ram Rajya, isn't it? Why do they remember Ram Rajya today? Who knows? Why? Why?
It was full of prosperity and happiness.
Because everyone was so happy. No tension. Nah. And no sleeping pills. Everyone was fully happy and protected. Lord Ram was dealing with the citizens like a father would deal with his children. And he was just concerned about the welfare of these citizens. So King Parikshit also, can someone keep the kids a little bit away? So King Parikshit was also a God-conscious king. And one day he was in the forest where he felt thirst. So he was looking for water. And there he saw a hut from a distance. From a distance he saw a hut in which he saw some light. So he went over there with the expectation that he'll find water. And when he went inside, he saw a sage sitting there in deep meditation. And that sage did not even look towards the king. King Parikshit was a Raj Rishi. Raj Rishi means a king plus a Rishi. What does Rishi mean? Saintly personality. So to have a king who is also saintly personality is something very rare, isn't it? It's not something very common. But this sage did not even look towards the king. As a result, the king felt offended. Even though he was a great devotee of the Lord, he still had Kshatriya blood in him. And the king left the hut in anger. And as he was proceeding, he saw a dead snake on the ground. When he saw the dead snake, he was in an angry mood. He was thirsty, and the sage did not even look towards him. He took the dead snake and placed it on the neck of the sage. And he proceeded to proceed towards the forest. The sage's son was a boy called Shringi. Shringi was a Brahmin. Brahmins had great power those days. A Brahmana could curse someone to die, and the person would die. Do the Brahmanas have that strength today? Today, if you want to kill someone, you have to chant, use an A47. But those are the Brahmanas. If they wanted to, of course they would never misuse their power. They could even chant mantras. So, Shringi was playing. He saw the king coming out of his father's hut. So he had a curiosity. Went to ask his father, what did the king say? What did he talk with him? But then he saw there was a dead snake around the neck of the father. So he knew this must have been done by the king, because nobody except the king ever went to meet my father. Nobody went to Sadapat. So he ran behind the king, who was marching ahead, and he said, did you have the guts to put the dead snake on my father's neck as like a garland? The king said, yes. He said, you Kshatriyas have this power? I curse you that you will die. When?
7 days.
7 days, not 10, 7 days. At the end of the snake 7-day period. Now, when we get information, the doctor says, you only have a few more days left to live. Don't we get panicky? Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And the doctor says, oh, Mr. So-and-so, you're sick, you're not going to live more than 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we get very panicky. But Parikshit Maharaj did not get panicky at all. He was cursed by the Brahmin to die in 7 days. If he wanted, he could easily have counteracted that curse. After all, when he was in the womb of his mother, Aswathama had released a very deadly weapon called the Brahmastra. The Brahmastra is such a sophisticated weapon that suppose you have an audience of 100,000 people sitting, and your target is fourth man from the left, that's exactly what your weight will strike. Not like today's bombs, you throw in place A and they end up in place B, killing innocent people. So the Brahmasa would hit the target, and he was saved because his mother Putra, he was in his mother's womb from the Brahmasa, by the Lord who expanded himself and protected him. And Parikshit Maharaj got such great pleasure in seeing the form of the Lord in the mother's womb, when he was in the mother's womb. That form of the Lord was so beautiful that everyone he ever saw, he would try and compare. Is this the same form of the Lord that I saw in my mother's womb? Therefore his name is Parikshit. Parikshit means examiner. So Parikshit Maharaj was protected by the Lord when he was in the womb of his mother. So if he wanted, he could have easily prayed to the Lord, please, please, please protect me, isn't it? But he took the curse as an opportunity to retire from worldly affairs so that he could exclusively concentrate on his devotion to the Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj, how did he prepare for his departure? How did he prepare for his departure? He invited all the great sages who were present. And because he was king, everyone obliged. So all the sages came. And Parikshit Maharaj asked a question. One who is about to die, what is his duty? Is that a valid question? Or do you think it's a theoretical question? Huh? For one who is about to die, what is his duty? Is everyone in this assembly going to die?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Or do you have some secret arrangements with the Maharaj? Everyone's going to die. Do we know when exactly we're going to die?
No.
Could it happen at any time?
Yes.
Or it will only happen with sufficient notice? Parikshit Maharaj at least has 7 days notice. But we may not even get 7 seconds notice, isn't it? That may just come to any one of us. So therefore the sages say, we should always be prepared for that. So Parikshit Maharaj inquires this from the sages, what should one do who is about to die? So there were different sages and they all gave different replies. But Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, told that you should hear the glories of Krishna, think about Krishna, engage in service to Krishna. That is the perfection of human life. So that's exactly what King Parikshit did. He sat down and heard the Bhagavatam. As the Bhagavatam was being recited to the king, there were thousands of sages who were also hearing the Bhagavatam. And one of the sages present was a sage called Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami was a very learned personality. He was a Shruti Dhara. You know what the meaning of Shruti Dhara? One who can memorize something just by hearing once. So Suta Goswami memorized the Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses, just by hearing once. Our memories are so poor, we have to write down everything, you know? Appointments, what time, birthday, when, everything needs to be written. Because our memory is so short, you can't even remember what you may have done 24 hours ago. So, at that time in Namashranya, have you heard of Namashranya? Where is it? Near Iceland. Where is Namashranya? Huh?
Central India.
near Lucknow. It's a place where since time immemorial, great sages would sit down and have spiritual discourses. So the sages were having a spiritual discourse. And what were they discussing? How will people in Kali Yuga be saved? This is the nature of a spiritualist discussion. And Sutta Goswami was selected by them to be their guide. And he repeated the same 1800 verses that he heard Shukadeva Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So therefore we see the Bhagavatam, sometimes Sri Shuta Vachar, sometimes Sri Shuta Vachar. So Shuta Goswami here is giving us advice, and before we discuss what he's telling us, he's making one point. The Lord is the protector of the devotees. What does Krishna tell Arjuna? You declare to the whole world that my devotee will never perish. That doesn't mean a devotee will have no difficulty. If he told everyone, become a Hare Krishna devotee, you won't have any sickness, no old age, no disease, then people will come more easily. So there will be some difficulties, but devotional service gives you the intelligence how to face those difficulties. So the Lord is a protector of His devotees. We see in history so many stalwart devotees of the Lord had to go through so many difficulties. Have you heard of Prahlad Maharaj?
Yes.
He had to go through so many difficulties. Haridas Thakur, he was attached to chanting the holy name. And he was born in a Muslim family, but he embraced the chanting of the holy name. And he was dragged through 22 marketplaces, but he still did not stop the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Sutta Goswami is advising us to do 4 things. And if we do these 4 things, the Lord will be pleased. Aren't we all trying to please someone or the other?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes,
You do a job or business?
Job.
Do you try to frankly please your boss?
Sometimes
No. You may not succeed always, but you're trying always. Right? Okay. Anyway, we all try to please someone or the other. Am I right? You see everyone with a dog these days, or a cat. You know why people keep dogs and cats?
to keep themselves company.
Yes, that's one thing. Because America has become lonely. And not only America, but all over the world. As people get older, as marriages break up, as family relationships break up, people are becoming more and more lonely. And then a dog and a cat, they are more loyal. When the kids get older, they say, don't tell me anything. But the dog and cats, they never say that. They're ready to listen. You throw a ball, the dog will go running. So people they want to love someone, and they can't find anyone in the human race. Then they turn their attention towards cats and dogs. I believe that the cats are outnumbering the dogs in the American population now. That's a fact. Because at one time it was just the dogs, but now the cat population has overtaken the cat dog. So anyway, the point is, we all need to please someone. We all need to give our love in some direction. We all are looking for someone as a companion. So when you don't have a saintly person, when you don't have anybody else, then you turn your focus to cats and dogs. So Sutta Goswami is guiding us to do 4 things. Hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of God. Hear about means And glorify means chant and hear. The tongue and the ears have a very close connection. Therefore you see, those who are deaf are also dumb, and those who are dumb are also deaf, usually. The tongue and the ears are very closely connected. So what is Suta Goswami saying? Glorify the Supreme Lord. How do you glorify the Supreme Lord? How? By chanting the Hare Krishna. Why do we chant the holy names? Was there some whimsical design of Bhaktivedanta Swami? No. We chant the holy names because the Lord has told us to chant. Why does the Lord tell us to chant? For our benefit, for our purification, for our spiritual progress. And why does the Lord say that? Because the Lord wants to see us all happy and comfortable and back to our original home. I was telling you last night, I think all of you were not there in the audience last night, that I saw yesterday, billboard, welcome to the city of real happiness, Coca-Cola. The point is, they were promoting that if you drink Coca-Cola, you'll find real happiness. A few years ago they had a slogan, Coca-Cola the real thing. The real thing is God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So, the scriptures recommend chant the holy names and hear. In the early days of our movement, as you know, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada came to America, and the first ISKCON temple was opened in '66. So in the early days of our movement, there was a cartoon in a New York newspaper. In the cartoon they showed two people. One was a Hare Krishna devotee, and the other was a materialist in a suit. The Hare Krishna devotee was saying, chant, chant, chant. And the other person was responding, can't, can't, can't. You understand? The devotee saying, chant, chant, chant. The other person saying, can't, can't. So the devotee always says, chant, chant, chant. Why? Because that is for our benefit. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, the heart gets cleansed. You may say, my heart is already clean. You think my heart is contaminated? Everyone likes to believe he's honest, isn't it? Everyone likes to believe, I'm sincere, but the other person is not sincere. Everyone likes to believe he's God's greatest gift to humanity. I mean, that's the belief. Everyone has a very inflated opinion of himself or herself. So, Krishna is saying, chant and hear. Chant the names of the Lord and hear the glorification of the Lord. Hear the holy names of the Lord. Hear recitation of the pastimes of the Lord. Why? By this hearing, there is cleansing of the heart. Our hearts are full of unlimited material desires, manifested through the presence of lust, anger, greed, envy, etc. And how do we clean this? By chanting the holy names of the Lord. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the opening verses of the Siksasaka, says, one of the gains of chanting the holy name is the heart will get cleansed. So we encourage everyone to chant. But in reality we see that even though we are begging everyone to please chant, some people say, no, I can't chant. Is that good or bad?
Bad.
Why is it bad? Because we're wasting a valuable human life. One very famous Vaishnava poet said, my dear Lord, I have obtained this human birth, but I did not worship Radha and Krishna. Therefore, I am simply swallowing poison uselessly. So today the position is, people are drinking poison. Do you understand what I mean by poison? What does poison do? Kills you, isn't it? Similarly, we are all engaged in sinful activities. Activities against the laws of God. And when you engage in sinful activities, you will also have to face the repercussions. In the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an explanation of the hellish planets, where it explains how for different types of sins, there is different types of punishment. Just like in a material condition, for different types of crime, the punishment is different, isn't it?
Sure.
You don't get the same punishment for every crime. So similarly, based on the intensity of our sinful activity, we get punished accordingly. Just like if you want to eat cow's flesh, which is very common. So what happens? Even if you eat a small piece of meat or cow's flesh, then you have to take your birth equal to the number of hair in that cow's body. And then you'll have to take that many births, and then you'll be killed. Exactly like these animals are killed. In English there's a phrase, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Have you heard that? In Hindi they say, nelle pedela. And in Russian they say, zuba zub. That means tit for tat. So this is exactly how the law of karma works. You want to break the laws of Lord? Eat animal flesh? Because the doctor told you you can't live without meat, otherwise you'll fall sick, or your tongue is addicted to it, so then pay the price. Tomorrow, you become the animal. If the animal eats, I eat you, tomorrow you eat me. That is the law of things. You may say, but what's the proof? Who has seen all this? This proof is, Praman is, the information in the scriptures. Scriptures are the words of God, and there is no shortcoming in the words of God. Therefore, we should mold our lives in such a way that we can always remember the personality of God. So here Sutta Goswami wants us to hear and chant. This chanting of the holy name has many benefits. How many of you feel your minds are completely peaceful? I must compliment you. You know why? Why? At least you're honest. You didn't say, I'm totally peaceful. So at least you're honest in admitting your minds are not peaceful. How many of you would like your minds to become peaceful? So that you don't have to take these sleeping pills. Of course, I'm not going to ask how many of you take sleeping pills. Because you'll be too embarrassed to give a reply in public. One of the things that doctors tell me, and that's very common in North America, is what they call sleep deprivation. That means people don't get enough time to sleep. Why they don't get enough time to sleep? They have to do so many jobs to pay their bills. So, you all would like your minds to be peaceful. Do you think you can make your mind peaceful by some mechanical device? If you see more Hindi movies, let's say we give you few free Bollywood movies all day. Will that make your mind peaceful?
No.
Few more cricket matches? No. Indians love cricket, isn't it? they're so addicted to cricket. I tell them, you may become a grass in the next life. So that people will be playing cricket in your head. You know? So because wherever your mind is at the moment of death, that is the type of body you get. The laws of nature are very strict. So, you're not going to become peaceful by any of these mechanical means. Let's say you get a big raise in your salary. That's not going to make you peaceful either. Then what's going to make you peaceful? What? Chanting the name of the Lord. So we are begging you, please chant the name of the Lord. And if you want something valuable, most people charge you money, isn't it? No one gives it free. We're giving people freely, they're free the holy name. Still they say, no, I don't want the holy name. So, Krishna is saying again and again, chant the holy name to the Lord. The Lord has given us one tongue and 2 ears. What should the tongue we use for? Glorifying the Lord. What should the ears we use for? To hear the glorification of the Supreme Lord. So please hear, we are simply postmen. A postman just delivers the letter as it is. So we deliver the message of Godhead without any adulteration. So hear and glorify. Then remember and worship the personality of Godhead. The mind needs to remember something or the other, isn't it? Can your mind be inactive?
No.
Let's say you are sitting down here. What is this area called?
Cumming.
Okay, let's say you're sitting here in a spiritual discourse. But I'm sure your mind is wandering somewhere else. What are you going to do in business on Monday? What are you going to do at home tomorrow? The mind will be wandering anywhere, isn't it? But Krishna says, think about Krishna. The Lord says, think about me, become my devotee. Engage the mind positively. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, to control this mind, Krishna, is very difficult. Chanchala mana Krishna. To control the mind is more difficult than controlling the wind. So is there any hope? Yes, there is. By practicing the process of bhakti yoga, the mind can eventually come in control. So when you chant and hear the name of the Lord, the heart gets cleansed of material attraction. Just like when you're diseased and somebody gives you very palatable food stuff called prasad, will you be able to appreciate it? But as the disease gets cured, you can appreciate it again. So because we're diseased, we don't feel like chanting even though we hear every day. I'm sure, is there anyone in the audience coming for the first time to our program? No. So all of you are coming regularly. But still when I asked if all of you were chanting, everybody did not raise their hand. I know people who've been coming to temples for 20 years, still they're stuck on one round thing because they don't make progress. So Krishna says, chant and hear. Then remember, what should you remember? Remember Krishna's instructions from Bhagavad Gita. Remember Krishna's instructions in Bhagavatam. Remember Krishna's pastimes. Lord has unlimited pastimes. Engage the mind positively. And then worship the Lord. The Lord descends in His Archa Vigraha form. This Archa Vigraha form is non-different from the Lord. Just like in their house, they have these beautiful deities of Chatapra. The Lord manifests Himself in various forms. Like in our Atlanta temple, you have the deities of Gauritai, Jagannath Balaram, and so these deities are non-different from the Lord. Sometimes when we go to the temple, we see these statues or deities, we say, this is just a statue made of brass or ivory or wood. But is this the statue? No. This is God Himself. In Chaitanya Charitamrita you read the story of Sakshi Gopal. There was once a poor Brahmin who provided assistance to a rich Brahmin. This rich Brahmin was on a pilgrimage and he was assisted to complete the pilgrimage by a young Brahmin. The rich Brahmin, for very obliged, said, I'll do anything for you, what can I do? The poor Brahmin said, I did my duty as a Brahmin, I don't want anything from you. He said, no, I must do something. I'll marry my daughter to you. He gave this promise in front of the deity. When he informed his family members about this promise, the family members said, no, we will not let you do this. And there was a big dialogue. And the rich man's son said, you want to marry my sister, you're greedy after my family's money? You have any proof that my father gave you this promise that he will marry his daughter to you? And the poor Brahmin, whose reputation was at stake, said, yes, my lord, I have proof. What's the proof? He promised this in front of the deity. So the rich man said, deity? That statue made of marble? That's going to testify? Sakshi? That my father promised. And the poor Brahmin said, yes. So the rich man's son said, okay, if your deity will testify, then I'll agree to my sister's marriage to you. So, because the rich Brahman's son was thinking, that deity is just a statue made of marble. How is the statue going to testify? So the poor Brahmin went to the deity of Gopal and said, my reputation is at stake. Please testify that this rich Brahmin promised his daughter in marriage. So the deity said, but I cannot walk. The deity was in Vrindavan and he had to testify. Where? In Orissa. And so the deity said, I cannot walk. And the devotee said, my dear Lord, if you can talk, you can also walk. So the Lord was defeated. And then the Lord testified. So this deity that you see is not different from the Lord. And we should accept here as God. And if you have deities at home, everything that you cook you should offer to the Lord first. You should do aartis in the morning and treat the Lord as your privileged guest. And the Lord takes service according to our means. Krishna says, Patram, Puspam, Phalam. Offer me with love and devotion, even a leaf, and I will accept it. So we humbly want to request all of you to please engage in service to the Lord. Time and tide wait for no one. You've heard that in English. So engage in devotional service. And how do you engage in service? By chanting the holy name of Krishna. Chant the holy name of Krishna. Hear Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam. Take advantage of sadhu sangha. Spiritual association is very important. So come to the bhakti rickshaws, come to the temple, take part in these spiritual discourses, and constantly inquire. For one who is about to die, what should he do? And that is hear about Krishna. So constantly inquire, how can I make spiritual advancement? Making spiritual advancement doesn't mean you have to give up your family or business. Krishna says, like a lotus leaf is in flower, but not touched by a lotus leaf is in water, but not touched by the water. So if you chant Hare Krishna, hear the glories of Krishna, read Gita, Bhagavatam, then even though you're in the material world, you will not be affected by the ills of material life. But that's our humble request. Please chant, associate with devotees, at least read Bhagavad Gita. Whatever you eat, offer it to the Lord. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those who eat without offering to me are eating only sin. So how many of you like eating sin? How many of you like eating Krishna Prasad? But to prepare Krishna Prasad, there's some guidelines. One, what you can eat, patram puspam phalam toya. You can't offer meat, fish or eggs, onion, garlic to the Lord. Then offer it to the Lord by chanting mantras. Mantras glorifying the Supreme Lord. And the Guru mantra is Lord Chaitanya mantra. And you pray to the Lord, please accept it. And then the Lord accepts it. And how does the Lord eat? How does the Lord eat? Through his eyes and ears. He sees the prasad, hears the prayers offered by the devotee, and eats it. And we eat the Brahman. So please take guidance from those you're working with. Be determined to succeed spiritually. And our spiritual life depends upon chanting and hearing. Chanting and hearing is the most important activity. And if we endeavor, God will help us. So please chant and perfect your life. Hare Krishna. So, I didn't want to give a very long question, it was 15 minutes. So, are there any questions? Especially from our Bhakti Vriksha devotees or anyone can ask. Any questions? Yes.
Maharaj, the verse says, Tasma Deki Manasava, in translation with 1 point in attention. So, can you
Well, I didn't focus on one point of attention. One point of attention means with determination. And we should be one-pointed in our endeavor. Not that, yes, I'm chanting, hearing, but I also want mature life, this life, that life. We should exclusively. But this one point of attention doesn't mean you can't do a job or business or have a family, but the focus of the entire family should also be self-realization. Yes. How to develop compassion? First we have to understand what is compassion and what is real compassion. Vaishnavas are compassionate, but they don't want to harm even an ant. People talk about compassion and they kill innocent animals. Your question is how to develop compassion? By chanting. All good qualities in you can develop if you take to the process of chanting the name of Krishna. And devotees are so compassionate, they don't want to kill even an ant. Yes?
How do you find the sign of Krishna?
How do you?
Find the sign of Krishna.
How do you?
Find the sign of Krishna.
Sign of Krishna.
Yeah, how do you know that Krishna is there?
How do you know that Krishna is there? We know that Krishna is there because it is there in the scriptures. Scriptures are the words of God. And we know that Krishna is there because we can feel the presence of Krishna. Just like you're going to have prasad. And after you eat prasad, you know how tasty it was. So, we chant Krishna's name and we repeat it again. Again. There are devotees who chant the holy names of the Lord 22 hours a day. Why do they chant? Because they're feeling Krishna's presence. Others, how would they chant? Isn't it? So of course Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. But you feel Krishna's presence. That's why we chant. Any more questions?
A lot of newcomers ask why we should not eat onion and garlic.
Onion and garlic contribute to passion. You had a question? What's it out?
Maharaj, you Could you please explain the process of surrender to the Lord? How does one surrender to the Lord?
The best way to surrender to the Lord is by doing what the Lord wants you to do. And we begin our surrender by chanting the name of the Lord. The tongue is used to what? Jalpa, mundane talk. And thanks to cellular telephone, our tongue is working overtime now. Your physical body gets tired, but the tongue doesn't get tired. People are talking more than ever, do you realize that? Since the advent of the cellular telephones, we are talking more than ever. People are so attached to their phones, many of them sleep with their telephones. And the first thing they do when they get up in the morning is I see who called me the previous night. So we should use the tongue to vibrate the glories of the Lord. And this chanting, at least you know one thing, this chanting is bona fide, genuine, isn't it? It's not concoction. There's so many Mahatmas that give their own philosophy. The Prabhupada gave us what Krishna said. Okay?
Should one chant the mantra attentively or while doing anything? You can chant.
Chanting attentively is the best. The three stages of chanting the holy name. The offensive stage of minimizing offenses, and the purified stage. So, if you want to get full benefit, chant the holy names. And when you're chanting, just concentrate on the chanting. And not that you're chanting and doing many other jobs at the same time. Just like when you're eating prasad, do you like somebody interrupting you every minute? You want to eat with concentration. Many devotees say eating prasad is samadhi. Because they like Krishna prasad so much. So that's good, at least you're attached to prasad. So when you chant your rounds, you should put aside. Let me chant my rounds without interruption.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, in this verse, Sudha Goswami is talking about protection from the Lord. So, how we can understand that protection for devotees and non-protection for the others. So, what does exactly mean protection?
Krishna protects his devotees. Prahlad Maharaj had to go through so many difficulties. Krishna protected him. So it's not that there won't be any difficulties in the material world, but Krishna protects the devotees. Maharaj Thakur, so many other devotees, endless list. Yes.
When you chant, when you start early in the morning with chanting, are you done with 16 rounds right in the morning, or do you spread it throughout the day?
Well, I try to do as many as I can. But the important thing is chant. I try to finish in the morning. But the point is, even if you can't finish in the morning, don't worry. Chant and try to complete it before you sleep. We give you a special concession. You chant every day?
I do, but not 16 rounds.
How many?
Between 4 and 8, I was in that
You've
I get a chance to do it in the morning.
You've been in that range for how long?
I think it's a year.
Okay. So please, suppose your company told you no promotions. Your pay will remain stagnant. You won't like it. But these days people don't mind it because they want a job at any cost. But the point is, generally our expectation is, so we expect an increment. Anyway, to chant then.
My 16 rounds?
Well, there's a long story behind it. But even to chant 16 rounds, it will take you 1.5 to 2 hours. If you chant for 1.5 to 2 hours, then it will help you for the remaining 22 hours to think of Krishna and to stay away from mind. Just like a doctor gives you medicine and says take it 4 times a day. So you take it with the assumption, if you take 4 times a day, your body will get healthy. Okay? So thank you very much. So please keep coming to the Bhakti Vrikshas here. Where is Gita Mataji? Gita Governor?